Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome to Arizona Good Business Radio, featuring leaders in the Arizona business community working to build a lasting impact throughout our state through doing good business. I'm your host, Thomas Barr, the Vice President at Local First Arizona. We're a statewide organization advocating for and celebrating locally owned businesses, and we're the largest local business coalition in North America, providing resources to over 3,000 small businesses and raising awareness of the benefits of building a strong local economy. I'm excited to be back in person after a while of not doing these in person with a close partner of Local First Arizona. I'd like to introduce everyone to Heather Locke, the founder and CEO of Hammersmith. Heather, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Thomas. I'm happy to be here with you.
Absolutely. And is it just Hammersmith, or I think it's Hammersmith Interactive, or what is the full name of the business?
I go by Hammersmith Support. I started as Hammersmith Designs, and then I moved to Interactive, but I have trade names for all.
Got it. Okay, cool. And how long have you been doing this for?
About 11 years.
Okay. And what was the aha moment that sprung you into launching your own business? I imagine you probably had some type of experience in it before jumping into it yourself, but there's usually something that causes you to spark to want to start something.
Well, I was always entrepreneurial, even as a child. I mean, my dad was a grocery store manager, and I sold anything I could possibly sell outside the grocery store. But when I was early in my career and working for different agencies, I could start to see the path. I was working for an agency in Scottsdale. I just had a baby. I was driving 45 minutes one way and back, and it was, a really stressful job. And I was like, I can do this on my own and make my life, more for me. Just took the plunge. So
yeah,
I joke I had two babies at once.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What was the feeling when you finally made that decision? I'm sure it was cooking in your brain for a while. I could do this. And then you finally made the leap and started it. What was that like to make that transition?
Uncertain. I had a lot of self-doubt in the beginning. I mean, I was excited. I was lucky that I'd built up a lot of connections. I'd been doing moonlighting, my whole career, taking projects on the side. And so I had a lot of connections, and work kind of came to me. And it was kind of a transitional year because we had a newborn. But yeah, I would say I had a lot of doubt at first. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to kill this right away. It was a scary moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then as things progressed, and I tended to business just tended to come naturally. I didn't do a lot of marketing. I didn't do a lot of sales until, several years in. And then I started to see it as something bigger and really tried to morph it into what it is today.
What you do is, there's a need for it, right? And so I imagine that getting into it and then starting to pick up more clients and things like that, everybody needs a website, right? That need in the market was probably something somewhat comfortable as you started, because it wasn't like the demand for what you do was not high.
Correct. And it feels like the demand is just getting higher. I want to help everybody. That's kind of hard for me sometimes too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so 11 years ago, websites very different than they are today. What has that journey been like in kind of doing it yourself and then hiring staff and working with, I don't know if you have contractors or employees or what it is, but what's it been like delivering websites 11 years ago and delivering websites today?
Well, I've gotten better at it. So it has definitely evolved. Every year has evolved. Technology has evolved. We build primarily in WordPress, and WordPress was around 11 years ago.
Mm.
And a few years, maybe a couple of years before that, I was working with a contractor at one of the companies I was at, and he just gave me a quick little road trip of WordPress, just showed me what it could do. And I'm like forever thankful to him, because it just set my wheels turning and set me on this path. So that we are constantly evolving. I think over the last, there was a time when everything was about having different banner animations, just going from one to the other, and a lot of movement, a lot of bells and whistles. I feel like we've evolved since then, and now we're seeing more just like really clear messaging, higher focus on design, not so much movement, more focused on speed and mobile first. And I would say those are some of the big shifts that we've had.
Yeah, from a website user perspective, I feel like we've drifted away from lots of pages and lots of content to simplification almost.
Mhm.
Would you agree?
It depends on the business. I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of sites that need lots of pages, and it also depends on the SEO strategy.
Hmm.
But I like simple where you just, talk about your core things, stay focused on your revenue generators
Yeah.
as far as your content and not really focus on too much fluff and just make really good pages.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. The nature of this show, we're always talking about how to build good businesses and do good things in the community. If I'm a small business owner listening to this and maybe I don't know much about or know how to maintain or build a new website. It feels like it's that pain in the side for a small business owner because it's just another thing you've got to be doing right to make sure that it's up to date and technology is always evolving. What is it that Hammersmith offers that gives companies some peace of mind through that?
So, yes, we do design and development projects where we just, work with you to put your website together, design it to fit your brand and your messaging and good, solid technical base for it and SEO kind of within the site that we've prepared.
Hmm.
We also provide maintenance packages. So, a website should never be a static document, right? It's going to evolve as your business evolves. And if you are going 2 months without touching your website, it's too long.
Mm,
You need to be making changes a lot because that tells Google that you're active. It tells your user base that you're active and that your business is evolving and growing. So, our what we provide is web maintenance support.
hmm.
So it's a proactive support plan. So each month we manage the site, we take backups, we keep a staging, we update the plugins and the framework, we do a full site test.
Mm,
I just had a new client call me yesterday where they were updating a plugin and it changed the look of their site. So we do things very thoroughly. We test any major plugin updates in a staging environment before we push it live.
yeah.
We submit it to Google Search Console. We run an analytics report. We test any contact form connections, any connections to databases that they may have, or MailChimp, or things like that. We make sure those are in place. If it's an e commerce site, we haven't seen a purchase in a while, then we'll even like run a test purchase and make sure
Mm,
their credit card processor is still going through correctly.
yeah.
So it's a proactive maintenance plan. And then we also include with that hours for updating content. So this could be adding a new employee to the site, removing an old employee from the site,
Gotcha.
adding news articles, adding press releases, adding a new banner on the front.
Yeah.
So they can just email or submit a ticket to us, and then we just take care of it. And so it's meant to just take the pain
That's
out of
awesome.
that.
Pretty much 90% of what you just listed is all things that I have no idea how to do. So it's great to know that there's people out there that have the expertise to handle all that. Because I mean, I'm thinking of all the websites I've gone to, at least in the past, and I maybe click on the news section, and the last article was from a year ago. So you're right. It's really important to be posting new content and making those updates and doing all those things that are necessary because people are looking at you all the time, right?
I mean, a simple tip that, we're still in the first quarter of the year. If you go to a website and you see it still says 2019 in the copyright,
Mm,
it's not a huge deal. It's not like that's going to break anything. But what does that communicate to other people? It communicates that, it's old. And so, January 1st, we make sure all of our clients' websites, their copyright says the new year.
yeah.
And I mean, it's just a simple thing that, you can easily check for on your site.
Yeah. You mentioned mobile friendly earlier, which I would imagine majority, I mean, almost all, if your website is not mobile friendly, you're not going to be very successful. But maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I attended a summit and there was somebody they were talking about how there was a certain percentage of people are finding you on their phones. Do you know what that percentage is now? Are we at like 100%? I can only imagine that most people are looking and searching and going to websites on their phones.
It's not 100%. It's high.
Hmm.
For B2C, it's about 70%. It's a little bit lower for B2B.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously, you're a consumer, you're looking at clothes, accessories, things for your house.
Hmm.
Very common to service providers, very common to look on your phone
Yeah.
first. In a business setting, looking for other businesses, we still have a high rate of desktop.
Okay. And why would that be? Is it just because you're on your computer doing business and that's
Exactly.
how
It's
you're
where you're
operating?
doing it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I tend to not do my shopping while I'm working. So that makes sense.
Except on Black Friday,
Right.
right?
What other trends are you seeing in websites right now? Anything new, different, exciting that you guys are working on or seeing businesses want to implement on their websites?
I'm seeing a lot of just open space, more white space. We used to have a lot of, 3, 4 columns of content. I think people are going down to more 2
Mm.
columns, like a 2-column format, and it adjusts to mobile really cleanly that way.
Hmm.
Light colors, optimistic, bright. I think maybe coming out of COVID, we're all looking for a little more optimism,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm seeing less and less dark kind of color palettes in general.
Interesting.
A lot of custom photography. I mean, people can spot stock now so easily.
Yeah.
So, a lot of custom photography on sites. That's something we encourage pretty much all of our clients to do, unless it just doesn't fit for them.
Hmm.
And yeah, very mobile first designs.
Sure. Sure. And then you also mentioned e-commerce. Super curious about this because in April 2020, we were looking at trends happening in consumerism and everything like that. Because obviously, what we do at Local First is try to predict what our network is going to need to be looking out for. And one of the first things our marketing team looked at was how many people were shopping online, which we all know skyrocketed right after the pandemic started. We were not leaving our homes. We were shopping online more than ever before, whether that was delivery for food or items that you needed or curbside pickup. And so we developed an e-commerce site for our members so that they could sell their retail items online and pass through 100% of the sales to them. Because there's a lot of small businesses out there that don't have their own e-commerce site or are only selling on like Instagram Marketplace or whatever it is. Are you seeing a trend in more businesses requesting or wanting e-commerce sites online now?
Oh, absolutely. I
Hmm.
mean, it's unless it's, a professional service like an attorney or CPA, I mean, most people have some sort of e-commerce
Hmm.
component.
Hmm. Do you see a lot of them working well? I'm curious about it because we tend to see, people very familiar with the popular e-commerce sites. If you're not on Amazon or Etsy or whatever it is, does it work? And so, kind of curious, are there people doing it really successfully right now?
For sure. I just launched a bakery and she's getting tons and tons of cake orders.
Mm.
So I would say it depends. So technically, yes, it works. Some of the challenges are shipping, with Amazon Prime, it's just Amazon makes shipping so easy.
Hmm.
So that's kind of a default for a lot of people. Shipping is always a little bit of a challenge. And just for the business to even manage it and manage the cost of it, that can also be a challenge. What makes it work or not work is obviously the marketing that goes behind it, because you
Hmm.
can build it and then never show it to anybody, and then no one's going to come and purchase.
Hmm.
Some people might find it just organically, but there has to be a marketing plan to support it, whether that's, promoting on social media, LinkedIn, digital marketing, or just, with traditional marketing.
Sure, sure. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Well, cool. Well, would love to hear a little bit more about your background, how you got into digital marketing to begin with, and websites and everything. Are you from Arizona, or did you come here from somewhere else?
I came here from Tennessee.
Okay. And where'd you grow up in Tennessee?
I grew up in East Tennessee in Knoxville,
Okay,
really close to the Smoky Mountains.
cool. That's awesome. And what in growing up there caused you to maybe get into this type of field?
It's so strange to even think back because,
Bringing back some memories today.
yeah. So I went to the University of Tennessee
Okay.
and I started out in the graphic design department. I got accepted to a program called College Scholars. I know this is a long roundabout story, but College Scholars is kind of a design your own major program.
Mm.
And my mentor for that program was the head of the graphic design department, but she was also very, very interested in technology. And she started like a little learning center for teachers on campus for learning HTML, learning kind of the latest trends and technology so they could stay up to date.
Mm.
And she employed me to teach there.
Oh, cool.
So I started teaching HTML to college professors.
Wow.
And that is really how it started. And then
That's crazy.
after that, I got some internships in town, and one thing just led to the other.
Not a lot of people go to college and then start teaching their professors. What was that like for you to have that
Well,
shift in role, I guess?
I didn't know it when I started. I had to just learn. And,
Yeah.
she didn't know either. We were just figuring it out.
That's
But
wild. That's cool. That's cool. How big is University of Tennessee?
it's huge. I
Yeah.
think when I was there, it was 30,000, but I think it's more like 40 now.
Yeah. I'd imagine ASU is massive too, but
Yes.
coming here and being next to ASU, similar experience, big college, lots of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. How long have you been in Arizona then? And are you enjoying it here?
I'm a native now. I've been here 20 years.
Okay. Yeah, that counts. That's the line for sure.
I love Arizona. I think it is got to be one of the best places you could choose to live.
Hmm.
It's just, I love blue skies. I love warm weather. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. How did you get tapped into the business community here? And how is that important to you as a business owner?
I have always been involved in just networking. I used to be a part when I was younger of Add to Phoenix, which was the like junior advertising group here. And I've done women's networking groups. I've done BNI. I mean, it's just a constant journey of continuing to network and meet people. And it's really what I enjoy the most about my job is making connections, meeting with clients, referring valued people that I know in my network.
Hmm.
And Arizona is a great place to do business, and it's great for business owners.
Yeah, I agree. How many staff do you have with you working for you now?
Trying to count up. I'm hiring. So
Isn't everyone?
Yes, that's a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
I have 4 here locally.
Okay.
I'm trying to count, make sure that's correct. And I have 1 staff in Tennessee,
Gotcha.
and then I also have a virtual team.
Cool. And is that obviously you're hiring it now? Is it just one role or a couple? Are you looking to expand like a lot right now, or just kind of to serve a little bit more clients?
Right now, I'm looking for 1 full-time person to be like a support specialist, which helps manages our maintenance clients.
Gotcha. And every industry is a little different, but how has that been difficult for you to find the right person?
I think culturally, I really want the right fit. We have an amazing like energy among us, and we have Monday morning team meetings, and just I've got to have somebody that fits into that. I can't have that ruined for me. Like I love that
Yeah.
hour. I love meeting with my team. So culturally, I really want to make the right fit.
Hmm.
And so I'm just, trying to be thoughtful and slow making that decision. I also want technical background, customer service skills. So
Yeah.
sometimes those things don't always align.
I could imagine with the field, it's one thing to learn the technical skills of website design and everything like that. It's another to have the soft skills of working with people and
Mhm.
the cultural aspects that you mentioned. What other cultural aspects of Hammersmith are really important to you that you've ingrained in the business?
So our core values are customer service, transparency, and giving back. And when I say customer service, it means kind of like whatever it takes.
Mm.
We want to help. And then transparency, I really want us to be teachers. There's some of our clients that just want us to do everything and never have to think about it, and that's great. But there's other clients that want to learn how to be empowered themselves. And so we like to, provide Loom videos and show them how to do it. And also just transparency in pricing and contracts, just transparency. I want to be known as a
Yeah.
good business owner.
Yeah.
And then the third one is giving back. So having a mind for being socially conscious, giving back to the community. We do, service projects together. We do pro bono work for clients. We just are wrapping up our last year's pro bono contract and looking for our next one. So
Cool.
should plug that.
Yeah.
And so I want someone that fits into kind of all of those things.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the pro bono work. I know that we've promoted it to our network of nonprofits and things like that, but tell us what it is and maybe the last client that you were able to support.
Perfect. So we do a pro bono campaign every year where we basically gift a nonprofit with a year's contract maintenance package. And what our maintenance package is each month we go into the site, we do all the updates I mentioned earlier, keeping it, proactively managing it so there's no malware or security issues or speed.
hmm
And then with that too, they get 24 hours for development. And we're a little loose on the amount of hours for our pro bono client.
I'm sure.
We just wrapped up this is the last month for our contract with Phoenix Center for the Arts.
That's awesome.
That was I actually built their original site, their last site like 8 years ago,
Wow.
working through another designer. And it hadn't really been touched since then from a structural standpoint or reorganizing their content. So we were able, and they really suffered from the COVID pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And so we really understood their need. We knew we could, really help them. And so we actually rebuilt their whole site.
Wow.
And then it was really hard to decide last year who our client was going to be.
I bet.
And we also really wanted to help save the family.
Mm,
So we gifted them some hours as well.
that's awesome. That's really cool. So is it once a year you pick a organization to support or?
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
Our first year was the Love Up Foundation. And then last year was Phoenix Center for the Arts. And then we don't know who this year is going to be yet.
Cool. And I know we're promoting it. How long do organizations have to find out about it and submit their information to you?
I believe it is until March 18th.
Okay. So a little bit of time.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we love Phoenix Center for the Arts. That's awesome. You're able to help them. We're actually somewhat neighbors. We're about 2 blocks away from them, our office in downtown Phoenix. And we host our fall festival right next to them at Hance Park. So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we share that parking lot once a year with them and try not to make it a little too chaotic. But they're awesome people. So that's great to hear.
I live near downtown, so I walk by that area quite a bit as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Heather, if you're a business out there and wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Go to my website at hammersmithsupport.com. And if you're interested in the pro bono campaign, it's hammersmithsupport.com/pro bono. And I am also on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, it was a pleasure having you today. Thanks so much for joining us. And thanks for being an awesome partner for Local First Arizona.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Thomas.
Absolutely. We hope you listening today were inspired, hearing a leader working to leave a legacy in Arizona through doing good business. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Phoenix Business RadioX, for hosting us, and all of our legacy partners at Local First Arizona, including Hammersmith. This is Thomas Barr from Local First Arizona, reminding you that if we want to build a better state, we need to connect deeply to the local businesses that make us proud to call this place our home.